Hello and welcome to the Prusa podcast.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
I'm Nicholas.
I'm Joe.
I'm Adam.
Adam was, I think, on the Prusa podcast, Prusa Live, back then, some time ago, right?
Yeah, like year ago.
Year
or
ago,
something.
yeah. Adam is from the Polymers team. We'll talk about the new Prusament later on. But as always, let's start with some cool prints. We have some on the table, but mine is a little case for MX Master 3, which is my mouse of choice, and I sometimes carry it in my backpack because you can switch the devices to which it is paired on, and I don't want ugly dirt stuck in the wheel or something. So yeah, I printed a case for it. I didn't have to design it. It's on Printables. It's by Shake and Bake 08. It has slots for magnets, which is pretty handy, but I still need to print the actual magnets. Print the magnets. Put in the magnets. If I could, you need to make some new filaments so I can print the magnets eventually. That would be cool. Yeah, I'll just really quickly screen share the creator to give a little shout out. So yeah, you can find it on Printables. If you have the same mouse, you might find it useful. Joe, what do you have? And I will remove the GH5 overlay thing from the camera.
Oh,
Yeah.
we are streaming it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have this beautiful Spyro from Raptoron. I just need to finish printing the wings, or maybe I should just get a Red Bull for it.
And yeah, and some more cool prints from the 5 XL, right? This is like really cool crankshaft with. I like when the supports are from different color than the model,
Yeah.
especially with the organic supports. It looks.
It looks awesome.
It looks awesome. Spyro, it's back. Okay, so prints away. So we have some space on the table. Volume is very quiet, guys. Okay.
Yeah. Also forgive us that we are a little bit slower today. We've had a team building yesterday.
Yeah. I can raise the volume a little bit. I'm always a bit scared to do that because then it might be too loud. So let's see if this will be a little bit better. Let me know in the chat. Oh, it's fine here. Okay, yeah, I guess it's fine for someone. So, going through the news kind of quickly, the XL, nice to say that we have basically all the versions shipping, the only exception being the 5-tool semi-assembled.
Yeah, and that starts next week.
I think it's scheduled for next week. If you're wondering about the shipping dates of anything really, just go to help.prusa3d.com and click the shipping article. We update it. I don't want to say every day, but like every few days with the current information, with the forecasts. So that's definitely a good source of information for that. And yeah, the input shaper for the Mark IV is, I think, like release candidate.
Yes, it's release candidate, and it is also dropping quite soon.
Maybe this week.
Yes. And we've also pushed an update for settings for the input shaper into Slicer, so just update those. There are more nozzle sizes or speeds and layer heights.
I remember you were bringing up some of the profiles, the profile names. So that's the update. It's already So it's already pushed.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, look, I need to get those and try them out. And then we have something coming to Printables soon.
Yes.
Wink, wink. So
yes,
stay tuned for that.
Very soon.
And yeah, from just something that happened recently, we were at Open Source.
It was awesome.
And it was the first year. I think William Osman organized it. Open Source kind of just fun twist on open source. But yeah, I think the event really surprised us.
Yes, it was it had such a great vibe, and so many cool people we've met.
Everyone was there. Yeah, I have some random pictures here, but yeah, you had a panel talk, and Joel moderated it,
Yes.
and you know, Maker's Muse was there, Stefan was there, James was there, so. Yeah, we met Vren from Corridor. It was
Yeah.
awesome. I loved meeting him. It was so good.
There were so many people who we knew online for
Yeah.
a long time, but we've never get the chance to meet in person because they don't go to 3D printing events.
Yeah.
So this was great.
You remember this guy?
Yeah, the bench he had.
guy with funny head. It was really good. And yeah, I stored this picture for some reason. It was really dumb, but you know, blush unpostered surface.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, this is how many people were there for some of the
full house.
discussions. Because yeah, there was, for example, Adam Savage had a talk there, so, and Mark Rober was there, so some really, and yeah, we met Sam and Intexa and Proper Printing and Pooch, just like, it was awesome. If you're thinking about going next year, I would highly suggest it because the event was really remarkable.
I do agree. It was awesome, and I think the tickets for next year are on sale already.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can buy the tickets already.
Yes.
And from time to time, I see people asking us where we will go or where I will be in the States. So I think for this year, me myself, I'm just going for Earth.
East Coast Rap Festival.
Yes. But you can always check the events where we are as a company, and me personally with Little Joe had. You can see it on the Printables events.
Yeah, it's in the top menu, and then you can even filter it if we will have a booth there.
There's a special
Filter for you in person. Yeah, sorry about that one. We just felt it was cute to have that in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Here you can see on Formnext
Yeah,
that there's Joseph Prusa.
yeah. Formex is close, so I think we will definitely go there. Okay, so another news was that we released new Prusament, which is why we brought in Adam. And yeah, the interesting thing about it is that it is certified to be self-extinguishing by UL. So can you tell us something about the Prusament?
Yeah, you are right that it's certified. It's certified by UL. It took us quite long time to make it happen because the certification requires us to test like a lot of samples. We printed over 600 samples to the certification.
Wow.
We had to make different orientations, minimum, maximum speed, and so on. So it was a huge bag of samples that I was shipping to UL.
Yeah, and you just ship it to them, and it's out of our hands, right? Like.
Yeah, that's right. Well, because they act as like independent laboratory.
Yeah.
So we can rely on the results, and we can show them to the world.
Normally, I try all the Prusaments that are in the development, but I didn't actually have a chance to print with it yet. So how does it print compared to normal PETG, since it is based on PETG?
Well, it prints pretty nicely, in my opinion. I can give you a spool later if you want.
Yeah, I would like that.
It actually prints at lower temperatures than standard PETG, but a bit of disadvantage is that you need to keep it dry.
Okay, so it's a bit hygroscopic.
It's more hygroscopic, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But otherwise, so does it have a special profile?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Makes sense.
Let me check in Slicer.
Yeah, Joe has a slicer right here. I think you will need to go to the configuration wizard.
Yeah,
To get it.
it's not for Mark IV there.
Yeah.
Or the input shaping one.
So what the use cases, I guess, since it's self-extinguishing, would be any kind of electronics.
Yeah, like electronics housing and so on. as a signature model, we have like this Raspberry Pi case, which you can print and download from a Prusament profile on Printables.
Okay.
And basically any other parts that may be in a contact with fire in the worst case scenario.
So maybe like the electronic boxes you put in a wall and stuff like that. But I also know that big demand for such materials is printing of replacement parts for like all the trams, trains, and this is I feel quite a big use case, because these public transport vehicles, they need to be certified.
Yeah, that's right. And using the certified material, it helps the companies to get the certification for the final part. It's much easier to do it.
There are some self-extinguishing materials on the market, but we are the only one with UL Blue Card, right?
The only PETG, the only material is printable on Prusa printers.
So it doesn't say really anything about the other might also be self-extinguishing, but they didn't go through the like rigorous certification process, so you don't know. And I know that you wrote one more cool thing, and that's the when it burns, these thermoplastics in general can release some toxic substances. So you took that into account, and this does not, like when it burns, it doesn't have what? Can you remind me what is the name of the?
It's halogen free.
Halogen. Okay, yeah. That's it.
Because a lot of flame retardants are based on halogen-based compounds.
Okay.
And they are quite dangerous to be around.
Yeah. So it doesn't. It self-extinguishes, but then
it might extinguish you too.
Yeah. So that's not ideal. So the Prusament doesn't have that, which is nice. Since it's technical filament, you are releasing it in 2 colors?
Yes, we have black one and white one.
Yeah.
Both of these colors are certified, so.
And there was another thing with the certification, if I remember correctly, was that you need to use, the certification like that's the whole pipeline, not just like breaking the sample, but like it certifies the printer that you use for it, the profile. Yeah.
And nozzle size, layer height, and so on. So like the certified settings we have, it's Mark III S+, 0.4 nozzle and 0.2 layer height.
Will we have certification for the Mark IV as well?
We will soon, hopefully.
Yes! Nice.
Yes.
Because the certification, I guess you started before the Mark IV was out?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many months was it? I remember that we were talking about this project for a long time, like early last year at least. So was it 6 months of work? 8 months?
It took us like a year to do the whole thing, because with the sample preparation, you cannot just like print them. You have to print a larger sheet and then cut the samples from the sheet.
Oh.
So for a thin, well, we are testing 2 heights, 0.75 millimeters and 3 millimeters. For 0.75, we could cut them with laser, but for 3 millimeters, the laser was actually melting the plastic around.
Yeah, sure.
So we couldn't use it.
Yeah.
So we had to find a different technology to cut the samples. So we used water jet.
Water jet.
Ooh.
That's interesting that they want this, but I guess they want like really uniform. They want to.
They want to eliminate parameters.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So yeah, I would say it's a little unassuming for most of the people, but for the people who need this, and if you need it, you know you need it, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are very happy about this and are excited. Same thing was with the tungsten filament, right?
Yeah.
Which is also a great success. It's selling multiple times more than we expected, and we've had such a cool responses when we released it originally for radiation shielding and calibration of magnetic resonance imaging machines, and then hey, I need this. I'm going to use it as shielding in our research reactor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of cooperations at the moment, so we'll be working like an article about next cool use cases for this filament.
Oh, okay, cool. Speaking of, if you use the new Prusament PETG V0 for something cool, post it online. I mean, if you can, if it's not like a work thing, which you shouldn't post online, but otherwise, please post it online and tag us. We would be very interested to see all the use cases that you will find for it. It's always fun to see, you know, we release the product and then we see people using it for all sorts of different things. We're always surprised. Well, before we talked about open source, and we met so many people at open source, and one of them was Ben, who told us about Meshtastic. And we have Ben and the lead developer of Meshtastic in the waiting room. So let's bring them in, take your headphones, and let's talk about Meshtastic. Okay, we have Ben joining in, and Garth. Let's see. Hi guys, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, good to be here.
So Garth is lead developer. I don't know, one of the lead developers, but the word lead would kind of suggest the lead developer of Meshtastic.
I'm the lead developer for the Apple apps.
Okay.
So, and then I work on the firmware. So there's a firmware lead, another Ben, and there's a developer that does the Android app, and there's a developer that also does the web UI. So we have a bunch of different repositories running all the different pieces of the project.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Ben, who we met in person at open source. Ben told us about Meshtastic, and Ben, you're just someone who's kind of new to the Meshtastic community and learning about it, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I heard about Meshtastic maybe 6 months ago and I started learning about it, got a few radios. Lately, I've been contributing to the documentation side, trying to help out as much as I can with the project and spread the word.
So we're kind of already talking about radios and contributing in GitHub, but can you give us like a quick rundown of what even is Meshtastic? I'm sure a lot of people watching have no idea, just like we had no idea when you first told us. I guess, I don't know, Garth, you would be the person to start?
Sure. Yeah, so it's a open source, decentralized LoRa mesh. So we use inexpensive LoRa radios to create a mesh of devices. And then you connect to it with either a computer or your mobile device generally, hooks up over Bluetooth. And then there's sort of standard messaging features available, tapbacks, replies, emoji. And then there's a lot of position features as well. So the devices can be configured to send out your location as well and keep track of a track of locations that you've been on, or you can request locations of other people. Like if you're out hiking, you could request that another member of your group's device send you their location, and then you can see them in your app. So, and then there's a ton of assorted use cases as it's open source and uses LoRa, which is really long range. So for things where Wi-Fi is hard to do, Meshtastic is pretty easy. Things that are, just a little over a mile gets hard with Wi-Fi sometimes. And with LoRa, well, we've recently set a couple 100-kilometer record
Wow.
using balloons. So if there is the line of sight, it's really a good low power communication technology.
Ben, when we met you, you had actually a radio on you, and you were showing us, and you were pinging some nodes, what, like 20 kilometers away, or like?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was we were in San Francisco, and yeah, so we were on one side of the bay and it was pinging a node on the other side of the bay. Picking them up pretty good.
It's kind of wild to me. So I'm Meshtastic, you know, the word says mesh. If I were to build the radio and flash the firmware, if I see other nodes around me, can I send messages through other people's radios?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Garth, you
so-
want to tell them how that
Yeah.
works?
Yeah, so I use this a flood routing algorithm. So a message is sent out, and then other nodes, they won't decode the internal payload of that message, but there's a unencrypted header, and it uses that to know what to do with the message. So the standard is 3 hops. If a message is sent out, say you and I are both on the default channel, which is kind of the public for each region. So each of these is set up with a different frequency for each region. And so you'd be on the default channel, which is essentially unencrypted. It's got a very simple password on it. And then you can communicate with other people around. And then you can also set up your own encrypted channels and add that public one as a secondary channel so that you can have both your own encrypted mesh and then communicate with the wider public. We launched a new version in November, and I'd say in the last like 3 or 4 months, we've had a lot of progress on some larger meshes. So we've got a fairly large mesh in Ukraine. There's a pretty decent size mesh in Calgary in Canada. Ben has been working on Portland, I think. So
Yeah.
so we're starting to see some larger public meshes get built now.
Ukraine makes a lot of sense, thinking about it. We were doing some. I guess it's funny how every open source, I mean every kind of project finds their way to help there. We were trying to figure out what we can do, so we were 3D printing some splinters or casts.
Some fixators or something.
Yeah,
like that.
fixators, but low bandwidth, long range radio, battery power. I mean the radios are tiny, right? And they are battery powered and can last what, like days?
Days, weeks, depending on there's a bunch of different hardware, so it depends. But depending on the size of battery and which radio you're using, you can get weeks of runtime out of one. So.
And so it is low bandwidth, but it's kind of hard for me to imagine what bandwidth are we talking about? Like text message bandwidth, like some kilobytes per second, bytes per second.
Yeah, it depends on the settings, but about 1 kilobyte a second, I think, is the highest bandwidth setting. I'm not positive. Ben's probably looked at the documentation on that more recently than I, but
Yeah, that's correct. It's about 200 bytes, between 200 bytes and 1 kilobyte. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's fine for like chat and communication.
Yeah.
More than enough.
Yeah, or like reading sensor data. I guess that's another thing that you would use it for, right? Like some IoT applications or like reading remote data.
yeah, so we have a telemetry structure. So we have a bunch of built-in supported I2C sensors that you can connect and then send back over the mesh to do weather station data, and air quality are the 2 built-in ones right now, and battery metrics as well. So you could monitor your solar array, the voltage and such, or the device that you've built. And then for any other sensor, you would basically connect to another microcontroller. So write your code to manage the data that comes from the sensor and then send it to the mesh over serial. So you can connect virtually any sensor to an Arduino and then connect that to a Meshtastic device and send whatever sensor metrics you want. And we're we're open to adding all sorts of new messages to handle those different sensor types and data.
So we could like get data from a 3D printer if we edit like a Meshtastic module.
Or do control the printer over it. And in the apps for smartphones, do you support like chat options? Because I guess if you can just connect to the radios and use it, it's quite easy to pick up for people and play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the apps are really great. The iOS app and the Android app are very full featured. You can completely administer the radios, change all the settings, the channel options. You can chat, you can send emojis, and you can share settings as well with QR codes. So you send someone a QR code, they scan that in, and they have all your channels and modem settings for their radio. So it's a really easy way to get everybody on the same page. And there's also the map on the app, so you can see the location of all the nodes if they're sharing their GPS data or pulling it off the phone. You can add waypoints, so you can just say, meet me here, or here's our base camp, or whatever it is, and you can add markers to the map as well. The iOS app has some great analytics where it'll record data for a long period of time and show you where devices are moving around. And there's a Mac OS app as well that does the same thing. It's pretty amazing stuff.
That sounds more developed than like many first-party like product apps that you can buy.
I will ask you. I'm looking at the website, and there are a couple of options for hardware where you can flash it. What do you suggest as the most user friendly and easiest to dive into it?
So go for it, Ben. Actually, probably.
Yeah, I mean, since I'm kind of the new one here and just kind of went through all that, they're really all pretty easy if you have any kind of basic understanding of electronics. If you know anything about Arduino, it's going to be a piece of cake. And if you have a 3D printer, pretty much any of the boards are there's cases available that you just you get a development board like this guy. This is a rack. This is my go-to choice. So it might be a little daunting for this to show up in the mail for some people, but it's USB-C. You plug in a battery, and then you print a case, and it's this fully functional radio. You can add a screen. You can add sensors. The racks are actually one of my favorite because these are plug-and-play sensors. They have extra little slots. You just screw in a sensor, and then you're done.
So I guess you got us curious when you showed the super nice case at Open Source, and that's why we are today on the podcast, right? But
yeah, exactly.
Are the cases on Printables?
I know that
Yes, absolutely.
there are some cases on Printables. I also saw some like super really nice ones that one of the community designers sells on Etsy, I think, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think I know Tony G has a site. He sells some stuff. Voltaic enclosures. He sells some stuff. Garth has an Etsy store. I'm not sure if yours are 3D printed or otherwise.
Some of my stuff, a bunch of it is also injection molded, but we use 3D printing for all the prototyping and.
But yeah, some nice.
But yeah,
ones.
there's a lot of stuff popping up that I haven't even seen. This community is really growing very quickly right now.
Yeah, the cases look very, very nice. Professionally great cases. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, Tony G there is definitely our most prolific case designer. So.
But the one you showed on video is my favorite so far. It's just somehow it looks rugged yet cute in the best possible way.
Yeah, I've switched to matte black now for. Can't even really see it, but just kind of to match the kind of walkie-talkie vibe.
What printer are you using? I wonder to print those.
Oh, of course, it's a Prusa Mini Plus. Yeah, so back there. Yeah.
We have Adam here from our polymers team, so I guess it would be interesting to find out what filaments are you using to print the cases usually.
Yeah, for me, it's I just use PETG and PLA. I don't have an enclosure, so I haven't really even experimented with some more interesting materials. I'd like to start printing ASA, and I do some TPU in the Mini Plus too. It handles it amazingly. I was really surprised how well that it went through that. Yeah, I think Garth probably has done some more materials than I have.
Yeah, I do a lot of PLA. I think like everybody does. My Mini Plus has sort of been taken over by my daughter, so I do use that sometimes. But she's using it a fair amount. And then I do ASA in the garage. I do have a LAC enclosure, and then 2017 MK3 that's now a MK3S Plus. So.
That's 2017. That's 6 years.
Yeah, I think just this time I didn't buy the upgrade because I may just buy MK4 instead, or another Mini, because I actually haven't been printing really big stuff recently, as all these radios are pretty small. So,
but you must appoint your daughter to print the stuff for you. Right?
Some of it. She's doing pretty good now.
If she took over, then that should be her payment for taking over a printer. That she must print stuff for you.
I'm scouting the chat for questions, but I think this is the rare occasion where the roles are completely flipped, where we had no idea, but it looks like the chat is completely full of Meshtastic users from the community. Just any kind of question that pops up there, like 3 people immediately have the information on hand to respond, which just shows, I guess, just how big the community is of Meshtastic.
Yeah, it's a great community. We're totally open to contributions and people helping. Like Ben did, like one of the best ways to help, right, is to be a new user, run into the issues and get those documented so the person coming behind you doesn't run into them. So, yeah, and everyone from technical to documentation to helping with marketing, and so.
And the project it's a fully open source project where it's just everyone is doing it because they like it. It's a passion for them. It's not like a company selling products and developing all this for that reason.
Yeah, anything that people are selling is individual community members, and then we do have an LLC to protect the trademark and such, and collect donations. But we just mostly buy developers' hardware to use and pay for servers and such, and GitHub and that kind of thing.
What do you wish we asked you? What's something that people don't ask you, but that's really interesting about the project that you wish should be talked about? Tough question, I know.
So partially because the code hasn't been totally done until recently, but we've really made a lot of progress on those sensor and extensibility options, right? So there's now a much easier way that we're to allow people to hook their own code, their own devices, printers, and kind of, I think I'd like to be the IoT solution when you need something longer, right? So you can easily just grab a couple radios and connect them together, and then kind of push that data back and forth. And we've spent probably 18 months, and that's been one of the main focuses of upgrading to version 2 and getting all of the telemetries and sensors and stuff working much better. And I think that that opens up a ton of new use cases and projects, and I think that's kind of what I'd like to see.
I'm stuck. I'm just looking.
This whole time Joe is browsing the repository and looking for boards to buy.
But I will finish my purchases after this.
Someone in the chat is mentioning solar. I guess that would be an excellent way to power this, right? Because of how power efficient the boards are.
Yeah. So there's I know Garth actually probably knows more about this than I do, but they're so low power that you can use a very minimal panel, and the battery. If you have a big enough battery, a battery can last a couple of weeks. So even if you have clouds for a while, eventually, if you get some sun, it'll charge it back up. So you can really run these nodes independently and indefinitely without really checking on them. People of the Calgary mesh, a lot of those folks are hiking up mountains and putting them pretty far out there and just leaving them. Right now they're still running into problems that they're testing out their mounting solutions and their panels and their enclosures.
So here's a question: can you update the firmware over the wireless connection, or do you have to hike back up and do it manually?
Yeah, unfortunately you got to hike back up, but you can do it. Some of the boards, the NRF boards or the rack boards, you can do over Bluetooth, so you can do it from your phone. So you don't, if it's up a tower, for example, you don't necessarily have to climb the tower to update that firmware, which is nice.
When I was playing with racing drones, just before I stopped having enough time for playing with it, there was a thing called Express LRS for the receivers and controllers, and I think they have some capability to update the receivers wirelessly. So maybe you can get inspired there how to do it. I think it's also open source.
Yeah, I don't think it's totally working yet, but there have been some community members that have worked on that particular support for that hardware. In the US at least, so some of those are higher power devices as well. So compared to the main devices that are out there, you can go up, in the US at least, you can go up to 1 watt without a license, and then I think 3 if you're a amateur radio user. So there's a couple of radios that allow you to take advantage of that extra power. Most of this stuff is restricted to what the hardware is built to manage, but there's a few. We have a developer in China that's building custom boards as well, and he has it's called the Station G1 that can be powered to 1 watt if you don't have a license, and 3 if you do.
I'm just from the moment you said that someone is hiking somewhere into mountains to put a node there, I'm just thinking from that moment that if I would do it, then obviously the next day new firmware will drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nice thing for that is that you can put a node up using what's called the repeater mode, and that's a very simple thing that only does the routing stuff. And so your need to update the firmware is less, right? The firmware updates are mostly around some of the extra features like sensors and all of that stuff at this point. So if you can use for your more permanent installations that are hard to get to, you can use that repeater mode and reduce the risk of that, and then you kind of only have to replace major versions where the protocol, because it only looks at the header, right? So even if it doesn't know about all the rest of the details of a new packet that was added for a feature, the repeater itself can just pass that along without problem. So.
That makes sense. And I would say also these installations, it's perfect to print it from ASA, because especially if it's higher altitude, like I think from 2,000 meters up from the sea level, there's a lot of radiation and UV, and ASA can stand that.
or from Flame Retardant PETG
Yeah.
It is.
in case something happens.
Yeah. How UV stable is the V0 PETG?
Well, we haven't tested it yet, but if I would say it would get brittle over time, but
Hmm.
a year or something.
Yeah. If it can, I think PETG can last like a year or two if you make
Quite
it a bit
long, yeah.
fake.
Yeah.
Takes time before.
Well, you can also you can always just spray it with UV protecting lacquer, any other material. It is just.
And it's really nice to know that if your LiPo battery malfunctions or overcharges inside that case, it's not going to start a forest fire necessarily. So
Oh yeah, that is true.
Lipos are
Yeah.
nasty.
Yeah, I wonder how many drones with lipos were lost in some of the national parks around the planet. I did not myself personally, but I can imagine. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people like playing with the drone for the first time, being very, very, how do you say it? Thinking that, like,
Irresponsible.
yeah, but thinking that they are good pilots.
If someone wants to get started, I guess the best place would be to type Meshtastic into Google and they will land on the homepage and they will learn everything from there.
Yeah, so there's a get started up there in the top left side there. Docs, I believe, and one
Yeah.
of the first menu items is get started. Oh yeah, right there too.
And then you shared with me, because I asked how can someone support the project, so you have an open collective where if anyone's interested and would like to contribute, we would like to direct them this way. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you both very much for joining and telling us about Meshtastic. I see definitely one new user who's already has like 10 things in the basket.
We definitely we definitely need to put a note on the company.
Yeah, and yeah, company will be and in all the things we do.
I wonder how many devices we would need to cover the whole Prague. Well, in a city without big skyscrapers, how far apart you would be putting the nodes for a simple basic network?
It can depend a lot, right? Because you can get a building with a big metal wall or whatever that's particularly hardy. So line of sight is best. I've had good luck in urban areas with getting 2 to 5 miles, and then if you've got a mesh of other nodes, you can kind of get hooked together. So I can get about 2.5 miles through a ton of forested areas from my house to where my daughter practices. So it's pretty good in both urban areas and the forest. So
I mean, one in my home, one in your home, one in the HQ, and we have like half of the Prague covered basically.
We need to get one on Žižkov TV tower.
Yeah, and then we have the whole.
And then we are set.
Yeah.
So during the previous era, they built like a giant TV tower in the middle of a city, and you can see it from everywhere. So
it'd be a perfect place. Yeah, and I'm always amazed by the range
look
of these
it up,
things.
Žižkov TV tower, or I will post it into a chat. It is, I would say, is love or hate.
It's kind of dumb, but very functional.
I'm putting it into the chat.
And it has black babies on it.
Yeah, and it has statues of babies.
We digress. Thanks, guys, for joining. We'll let you go about your day, and yeah, looking forward to jump into this and to see more cases on printables and more boards and everything. Thanks, guys.
hey,
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for making awesome printers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
I just open it on the Wikipedia and you see like the beautiful old buildings and then
Žižkov Tower.
the Žižkov Tower.
Yeah, happens. Okay, so we have definitely one more thing to go through, and that's the Prusa podcast contest, where you post cool pictures of prints and we look at them, and with no really system whatsoever, we just pick those that we like for some reason. So we have 3 of them ready. So actually, I did make like a cool OBS overlay. Does it do anything? It doesn't work. That's lame.
Oh.
That's lame. So I will do it oh yeah, now it works. Cool, right?
Oh,
Yeah, the cool prints with @Prusa3D on Twitter. I refuse to learn the new name, and he can win a spool worth of Prusa meters on Printables. So that's the contest. And now to the winners. So the 3rd place goes to a person you might have heard about. It's Uncle Jesse. And
hello, Uncle Jesse. Do we have him in the chat?
not sure. With a really sleek looking block storage container. Pretty dope. Model on Printables. That's a plus.
Congratulations.
2nd place is a HueForge print. Have you guys seen HueForge?
I hadn't studied. too
Adam,
much.
have you seen it yet?
No.
It's really cool. It's an app that, you know how you make litho paints?
Oh, yeah.
And then you can do color changes in litho paints. And this basically, we need to connect the HueForge guy with you guys because he measures the luminosity of the filament at different
Ah, cool.
thicknesses. And then the app programs how many layers to put there to make different shades. So even though you have like 5 colors for the XL or the MMU, you can make like, I don't know, 200 colors
yeah.
from it because of the different thicknesses.
And the app tells you how to do it.
Yeah, the app just calculates it all for you,
Oh,
and
cool.
I think you put it even to cheat code. I'm not sure. People in the chat probably know better than me.
Well, I remember someone asking if we are going to do CMYK
Yeah.
for this, but we are, I would say, the capacity to make new colors and stuff is quite limited, but we have some good news because new lines are on the way. So we will have much more next year. But right now, when we can't even have all the colors in stock right
Yeah.
now, so it doesn't make sense to add more and not have them in the stock
I
regularly.
know people are crazy about PCCF. It's always like, it's in stock, it's out of stock, it's in stock, it's out of stock.
But it's coming back soon
Yay!
in larger amount.
So, but how we got there was the HueForge print by Presswork65. So congrats, you also get a spool worth of Prusa meters on Printables. And we go to our 1st place.
We don't need those anymore.
Yeah, that's true, we don't need the headphones. And that's some really, I would say, sleek looking legs for an IKEA cabinet. I like it.
This is amazing.
I
Yeah,
really
it's very
like it.
cool.
It's also on Printables.
I'm definitely going to print that.
It looks really nice. So, great job, Extra Team. You also win a spool worth of Prusa meters on Printables.
I'm going to.
What are you looking for?
I'm going to fave it right away. So,
Oh, you're gonna favorite it right away? Okay, let me... it was called Elegant Furniture Leg Cabinet Food by Extra Team. And if you just look for Extra Team, it's probably faster. But
yes,
liking.
like.
Okay.
Great job.
We're gonna be looking for questions. Anything we forgot to talk about that we wanted to talk about? We kind of mentioned it all. The new lines, this is a nice extra. New Prusament lines.
Yeah, I think we teased it somewhere. Maybe some. I
Yeah,
teased it
yeah.
in some comments. But yeah, we will be almost double.
But once they arrive, you still need to like heavily modify them and everything, right? So it's gonna take some
Yeah,
time.
that's right. We need to adjust them to Prusament standards.
Yeah, you don't just buy them. I've seen the lines. They look nothing like the lines that arrive. Yeah.
It's a starting point. But I guess the team is happy, looking forward to getting so many new lines online, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because from the development point of view, we are kind of limited in releasing new colors and new materials. So when the new lines are here, we'll have some things prepared.
Oh, you have some cool stuff in the
Yes,
in
we
the
do.
idea drawer.
Ah, I bet. Janos is in the chat. This was actually one of the runner-ups, but it didn't make the top 3, but I like it. And Janos is in the chat asking if we can show it, and sure, we can show it. It's pretty cool. First of all, Prusa themed keycap, color scheme. But also the printed armrest. I'm not really an keyboard armrest person, but this one looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I tried mechanical keyboard recently, but I'm just so used to the Mac keyboards, and the external one is
Yeah.
just the same, and
I like
I'm not a fast typer anyway.
mechanical keyboards is such a doom hobby to get into. Like I dipped my fingers in it and I'm like, oh my god, like I need to.
How many keyboards do you have?
3?
Have you talked to somebody?
No, but
to get help.
it's not that bad. No.
It is impossible to not see, or the internet just shoves the keyboards to you,
And
even if you never searched for one.
And you can print like split keyboards, and you can even print the key, even on FDM, like even on Mark IV, you can print like pretty nice keycaps if you pick the right orientation. So
Yeah, I would say that would be the key to
Yeah.
print the key.
Yeah,
at like
yeah,
45 degrees
yeah.
with organic
Yeah.
support.
There were questions about Octoprint compatibility. I was responding on the GitHub issue today. Like, it seemed like people are saying that we were not responding. I asked the devs. They said that it's definitely on the to-do list to. I think right now on the Mark IV, the filament runout sensor is not working properly if you are printing from Octoprint. And also the progress is not showing on the screen and stuff like this. So it's on the to-do list, but there are some like high priority things. I think there's still a lot of work being done on the network stack to make network communication faster in general.
Yes, and I think some of the big improvements are also coming quite quickly.
Yes.
But I see a lot of people asking about TPU.
Yeah.
I might have seen some samples.
But-
Well, the TPU is coming,
But that doesn't hint anything because they have samples of million things that might or might
Yes.
not come out.
we have a full room of samples.
It's your
Your
room.
Or like I've seen a sample, but you have full room of projects.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mark for Blue Shirt Van. Yes, I agree. I really agree. We have a task for it in Jira. I will up the priority on that.
Well, I'm thinking that our merge game is not very strong.
I agree.
That we should step up
Yes, I agree.
quite a bit.
Actually, yes. If you have some cool ideas for merge, like, okay, that's a quick like thing to just right now type in chat, but like put it on X, put it on Twitter or something, cause it's always good to get some more ideas for merge. Are there news about input shaper on Mark IV? Yes, we talked about that. You can rewind, but long story short, the firmware is basically ready, so we will release a release candidate, and then once it's proven that it's bug-free, no major bugs, it will be released as final out there.
Yes, and we also talked about the new settings in the slicer. And we divided it basically into two options. One which is optimized for speed, and the second one is for structural parts, because well, always many people don't realize until they find when parts are failing. The faster you go, the smaller is the layer bonding, and
Oh yeah.
and basically most of the super fast models are just for show.
I blanked out, but I called the ending. Yeah, hell yeah. People like really
So-
ignore that quite a bit. That if you print super fast, like I would say it's a combination of printing fast and blasting cold air at the print. Like
Yes.
it's really crazy speeds.
Yes.
Like if you're printing a bust, I guess you don't care about mechanical properties. So in that case, I would say go ahead with the fastest profile. If you're printing a Meshtastic radio, don't print it with the craziest fastest profile. Like go a bit slower, because it will be more rigid. The mechanical properties will be better.
So when you are choosing for the layer heights, either structural or speed.
Yeah, you can't have both.
Yeah, but the structural is not.
It's always a
it's not slow.
Yeah,
but-
both are fast, but one is faster and the other is better for structural.
Well, when I was proposing the first for the first time how to name it, I was going for fast and faster.
Yeah, fast and faster. That's true. I remember that.
But guys didn't like my super funny idea.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the questions. I hope we answered them pretty much all this time. How difficult it would be to have a custom print bed with your own design on it? Asking for a friend. I think you could laser, but you could remove the sticker, the PI sticker. It's a pain. Let's be clear,
Yeah.
but you can remove it. You can laser etch it and then apply a new sticker.
No.
No.
No, because as it's spring steel, if you laser etch on one side, it releases some of the stresses and the bed is bent. So you cannot laser etch the design, but easiest is to get the sticker sheet one, remove the sheet, paint on your design, and then put a new sheet on.
Oh yeah, a lot of actually one thing I miss is input shaper for Excel, which is obviously being worked on. I think also some I've seen some Excels going pretty damn fast. It's interesting. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching us. Thank you, Adam, for joining us and showing us the new Prusament.
Thank you for inviting me.
Happy to do it. I'm sure you'll be back with your next crazy filament sometime in the future.
Like TPU.
Like TPU, maybe. Who knows? And yeah, that's it. And
So
tune in next time.
thank you everyone, and watch Printables.
That's right. Bye.